Hands? Well, I mean, hands are pretty easy to draw. Like, just ask my friend Mr. Dard over here.
हाथ बनाना इजी होता है भाई. मैं तो बना लेता. मैं होता तो आराम से बना लेता. बट मैं दर्द नहीं हूँ.
हेलो गाइस, गुड मॉर्निंग. वेलकम टू मित्र मंडली. आज हम लोग हाथों के बारे में बात करेंगे. वी गोना टॉक अबाउट hands, and this video might be the part 1 of a series of videos where we talk about how we draw things, and by we I mean me and other members of the Mandli. So yeah, let's move on with the video, and let's start with the structure of the hand, the anatomy. Basically the anatomy of the hands. Yeah, so hands are made up of 3 types of bones: carpal, metacarpal, and the phalanges bones. I generally don't know how to pronounce it, and I'm pretty sure I'm butchering them, but yeah. So those are the 3 types of bones that basically make up the hand: the fingers, the wrist, and the palm. And the thing with hands is that the basic structure of hands is very much defined by the bones inside them, which are covered by muscles and tissues and skin. Alright, so now we know the basic anatomy of the hands, like the medical terms for it. But the next part in understanding how to draw hands would be to simplify all of these structures into simpler shapes. And I personally like to use boxes because they're just very easy to draw and understand. And there are other methods to draw them, but I use boxes. And what these boxes do is that they break down these complex structures of the hand into simpler shapes. और मतलब simpler shapes का मतलब कि once you make them into boxes, तब तुम लोगों को आसानी से समझ आएगा कि how you can draw hands from different direction, angles, and like perspective में काम आता है, all kinds of stuff. Because the thing with stuff is that human brain comprehends things into more simpler, iconic ways of it. And by iconic I mean iconography, which basically is a concept that human beings understand things on a more simpler level, because it's just easier to process things that way. And one of the best ways to learn anatomy is by doing studies from pictures, live models, and your own hand. And I think studying is a very important part of learning art in general. And by studying, I mean looking at things, observing them, breaking them down into more simpler and abstract levels, and then constructing them back from all of those things that you just observed. For example, जब आप एक picture से study कर रहे होते तो you can basically put it in Photoshop or whatever art program you use. I use Photoshop, and then what you can do is then draw boxes over the planes of them, and for the next step would be naturally to draw over it with line art and details and whatsoever. And one of the things I like to do when I'm drawing hands is reductions, and by reductions I mean that reducing the amount of details in certain parts of the hand so that I can pull the focus or attention of whoever is looking at my art to the other parts of the hand. And that's the thing a lot of artists do, is to do reductions. And reductions are very important to save time also, because if you're spending time making all the tiny little details, it just takes more time, and I personally don't prefer spending a lot of time on just a single hand. Now that we have all of this information about hands, let's try and apply it to an actual art piece. It would be really great if you were also drawing with me while I'm drawing, because that's actually a really good way to learn from online tutorials, is to draw with the person who's making the tutorial. So yeah, just grab a pen and pencil and let's apply all of the knowledge that we've just gained to an actual art piece. Hi, a quick little note about line art variation and how important it is when you're drawing organic shapes like the human body. And what line art variation basically means is that changing the size of the line art in certain areas to give it a depth look. And you can see how I have used the line art variation technique in some parts of this painting or this piece. Yeah, that's what I wanted to talk about. Back to the time lapse. Acha, chalo, this is the part of the video where I'm gonna give all of my closing thoughts about drawing hands. And one of the things I've noticed is that people find drawing hands to be a very difficult thing. And once you break things down into simpler forms, उसके बाद मतलब आसान हो जाता है. Once you break anything down into simpler parts, it gets very easy to draw it, and that's a fact. And I also wanted to talk about how people take drawing hands very seriously. And one of the things I like to do is if they're not the main focus of the artwork, I do not pay attention to hands at all. That's usually my approach. If there's a person in the background and I have to draw their hand, I will usually just draw a blob for it. And that brings us to the next question, and that is, are drawing hands really necessary? And I don't think they are, unless you're making them the main focus of something. It's really not important to draw a really good hand. You can get away with drawing the shittiest of the shapes and ठीक ही रहेगा. No one's forcing you to like draw really good hands. So yeah, and that's all for today. Let us know if you have feedback for us and suggestions for the next tutorial or suggestions in general. We do look at all of our comments, and let me know how I did. This is my first time doing like a voiceover video thingy, and I'm very sorry if my voice sounds terrible because मेरे को जुकाम हो रखा है और गला ख़राब है और मेरे को खांसी आ रही थी थोड़ी देर पहले. But yeah. Anyways, thanks for watching. I hope you have a nice day. Chalo, bye bye. Oh, also, I have included some links to really good better tutorials about drawing hands that I think you guys should get them out when you have the time. Yeah, that's it. Bye.